How people live their lives is the story they believe about themselves. How you live your life is how you look at success. Hello again, everybody. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. Today, we're going to take a look at how people look at themselves. We're going to take a look at some fairy tales that some people look at life as a fairy tale, and kind of point out the similarities that happen because of that. All right? We're going to start off by telling you the story, the real story. Okay, I know you've heard the fake story, but we're going to tell you the real story of the Three Little Pigs, and that's by John Sieska. And this is the story, I mean, you've heard the story from the point of view of the pigs. Now you're going to hear the story from the point of view of the wolf. Now, everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault if wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were a big bad wolf too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing, it's all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He built his whole house out of straw. Now can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar from my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He'd been home the whole time. And you know what? It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. Now I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. Now he was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed another great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know how food will spoil if you leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. I thought of it as a second helping. Now I was getting awfully full, but my cold, and my cold was starting to feel a little bit better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family because he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, and your old little granny can sit on a pin. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? Eli, let me ask you a question. Do you know people like that? Do you know people that have excuse after excuse after excuse? Now, once again, I want to give full credit to John Sciezza and Lane Smith, the authors of the book. It's called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. All right, I loved it. I saw the book and I absolutely loved it. You know, now there's other fairy tales also. There's fairy tale of Robin Hood. All right, you know, Robin later on married Maid Marian, and then they had their kids. Ashley, Casey, Dale, Dorian, Francis, Gail. But you know the end of the real story? You know, you notice all the names can be boys or girls like Robin and Marion. All right, they got divorced. You know why they got divorced? Because they wanted to name their seventh child Hillary. Well, Marion wanted to name the seventh child Hillary, but Robin couldn't put up with it. That's why they divorced. You can't live your life like a fairy tale. There's no such thing as happily ever after. You must continue to work. You must continue to have vision. You must continue to see and work towards a specific goal. That's what life's all about. There's no such thing as taking a magic pill or taking an energy drink and all of a sudden everything works out correctly. You've got to develop good habits and you've got to stick with them. You have to have the discipline to stick with them because unfortunately life is not a fairy tale. Life is the story that you tell yourself. And if you tell yourself a fairy tale, oh, I'm going to win the lottery, it's not going to work out for you. So tell yourself the true story. Our thought for the day is from William Butker, Boetcker. It goes something like this, and I quote, "Your success depends mainly upon what you think of yourself and whether you believe in yourself." And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.